I started this back on the project today with the idea of getting these legs centered on my base, and I was having a little trouble getting them all equidistant from the center or from the outside circumference. But I thought maybe my legs were not quite the same length, but when I stack them like this, I mean, that's as close as I can get. So I guess I need to take a little more care and get them centered up a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is take some time here and play around with this. I'm going to make some marks on the table, because my idea of drilling my holes is going to come from the center out, not from where the leg lands in. I don't want to do it that way because that'd be three different setups basically. So let me work on this problem here and see what I can come up with. Okay, it can be done, and I still like the look of the joint. Measuring from the outside, I've got just a tiny gap between the edge of my rule and the edge of the leg, and the gap is very close to being the same. About a 32nd of an inch. This one being slightly under. But what I'm going to do is drill 3/8 holes and have 5/16 bolts going through those holes, allowing me that 32nd of an inch adjustment in any direction if I get everything centered. And then it also allows for that, if I'm just a little off with my setup. So I'm going to make marks here where the ends of these legs landed. When I take them off, I'm going to mark them 1, 2, 3. So that they'll go back in the same place as I have them sitting here. And then this will give me an idea of where my holes land relative to the outside edge of the leg. And then when I drill my holes in the legs for my metal inserts, let me show you what I'm using here. I'll be putting these inside the legs like so. To pull it all together. I replaced my bit with a engraving bit. It's got just a point on it. I'm going to use that to drop marks on my disc base here, and then take measurements and see how close I am with the center out method I'm using to locate my holes. By plunging down and putting that point in my workpiece there, that hole lands just off of my marker. I mean, it's so close. I'm going to call it on my mark. And so we are two and 3/30 seconds. 2 and 3/30 seconds from the outside edge of leg number 1. I'll do this for all 3 legs, and I'll come back and let you know what my results are. Good news, everything is lining up really nicely. I can't be more than a few thousandths of an inch off here with each of these marks. Even though they're not landing right on the line, I'm so close. And what I'm using to index this is on the router itself, there's this index mark, and I'm lining that up with my line as best I can. But once I do get that lined up like that, that's where I'm going to drill the hole. And I will try and come back to that somehow. Well, no, I can come back to it by just registering the bit in the hole. That's how I can come back to it. Never mind. So once I get it right where I want it, I'll plunge my 3/8 hole, and I'll do that for all 3 of these. Register my router again, and then do the offset. I'll show you that setup I have to get this thing exactly 5 inches away from this hole here, and keep it in line. All right, I got my piece elevated up so in case I go all the way through. I don't plan on it. I don't think this bit is long enough, but if it does, that'll be okay too. Well, here we go. That was burning pretty good. That bit's evidently not the sharpest, and I did not go all the way through. That's okay too, because I have to countersink from the other side, so I'll be able to maybe drill a small registration hole there with a brad point, flip it over and do that. So that'll be all right. Okay, I'm going to rotate this. I'm going to rotate the piece instead of rotating my... I guess I got to do both, but I want to get this over here where I can see the line. Like that. Get that mark set up. And then the reason I'm using this is because I'll be using this later, but this gives me a positive hold here, so I can kind of pull against this to make sure that I go straight in. I don't, the router's not going to move on me. I'd like to clean that bit off, but come this way a little. Tight and tight. All right, here we go. All right, now for this one, I'm going to leave the setup the same. I'm going to leave this in place and move it 5 inches. But I've got to take this out of the way. Yeah. There's really no other way for me to do this. This has to come off. Now this is where my square comes in handy here. Five inches. Now I'm just butted up against it. And so I'm kind of pulling this way into this setup, just ever so lightly. And then I'll give it a plunge here. I think that yeah, that should be good. That's what I've decided I'm going to go with it. 5 inches. No, this isn't 5. This is 1.5 is 3. This is only 4. 3. I gotta get one more. I gotta get one more in here. I'm glad I added that up. Now we're at 5. Okay, that feels better. Okay. Pulling into this V. All right, we're good. All right, I've got to stop on my drill bit here to make sure that I just put the point of this brad point through and not the outside spurs. And I got a piece of tape here too, just to protect this from spinning on there, but it's going to get sanded anyway. But let's see how well I did here. Perfect. I just see a dot there. Just a pinhole dot. That's good. Right, with a washer and a lock washer, I got to drill to a depth of probably 1/2 inch, I'm guessing here. Yeah, 1/2 inch should be good. Just shy of that. All right, you can see my little pilot hole there. Line up the spur on this 1-inch bit with that. And I've got my stop set to about 1/2 inch. I'm just going to free drill this. I've got the bolt coming up from the finished side. This is the bottom, but you can see the movement I have here, which will give me the ability to adjust those legs, get them right where I want them, and then tighten them down. And there's enough clearance here that is below the surface, so that'll be good. In order to get as accurate a measurement as possible, I've got my brad point bit back in the hole here. Kind of tapped it all the way down with this block, and that point is just sticking up there. And when I look at this from the point, I am 2 3/32 to the edge, and then I want to be centered this way. 2 3/32 from the edge. So this is number 1. So I want to be 2 3/32 from this line over, and make a mark. And then the other one takes care of itself. It's 5 inches. I can index 5 inches. So let me get that set up. So I'll make my mark this way and my center line, and get my my setup to drill these holes.